Hi, hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, the concerning, and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah.
and me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, new episode here. Had some technical difficulties getting into it today, but all good. Let me not shame.
No,
Kim.
it's not even me though. Like, I don't
It's
care.
not even you.
It's not even me.
She's gonna blame her child, but we'll keep
Yeah,
it
I'm gonna put it
moving.
on. I'm gonna put it on the kid. I'm gonna put it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put it on the child.
Outside of that, let's just start with our checkup. See how things are. How have you been? How was the week? I know, how's married life? So many new
What?
things. It's fall.
Yeah, right.
It's the
Too
season
much.
of change. Yeah, what's been up?
Well, so far so good. Married life is not too bad. It's a little crowded in our, 1,200 square feet apartment, but we're in the process of looking for another home, and that's been taking over a lot of our time and thoughts, but got to get it done. But overall, he's really helpful and stuff. So, having him around, not we love him, but having him around it's helpful. It's helpful.
Yeah, of course.
Having
Yeah.
another person to help with everything. But overall, the week has been good. Work has been, work.
Work
And
is work.
right, everybody's got to do it. So, other than that, I mean, I can't complain. It was a good week. How about your week? How
Well,
was it?
it was pretty good. Was there any? Oh, okay. I have a story, but before we get into my week, I was gonna ask, for our listeners, you're in the process, like you said, you're looking for a new place, and we know the housing market is crazy right now. So, I actually
Yeah.
wanted if you could briefly let our listeners know, anybody's thinking, educate them, anybody who's thinking of looking, buying, renting, whatever, like what's going on in Toronto, like what's experience been like for you?
Well, so far, it is a really expensive place to live,
Mm,
and not a lot of room to do better, to go forward. You kind of, have to have multiple jobs to really do bigger and better things for yourself. Um,
mm-hmm,
me and Rodney, we make, a pretty good income. And
mm-hmm.
if we were anywhere else, we would be balling out of control.
You'd be
Let me tell
good.
you. Anywhere else. But here in
Yeah.
Toronto and surrounding areas, it's expensive, and the market itself is damn near ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's
So,
not
like,
enough
what are the prices?
inventory.
What are the prices you're seeing that are?
Well,
What's the top
whew,
level?
the prices I feel are ridiculous for what you're actually getting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I was telling you one that was around 1,200 square feet, and they were
Mm-hmm.
charging, I think, $3,900.
Damn.
Almost
Damn.
$4,000 for about 1,200 square feet. So I don't
Ooh.
pay that, and I have 1,200 square feet right now, and it's ridiculous.
It's much. It's definitely much.
Because of that, right? Like, it's not a renter's market. Let's just say
Mm.
that it's not a renter's market, but it's very hard to break into the industry and buy a home. And I do want to mention that it's the inventory that controls the market. Whenever
Yeah.
there's a plethora of houses, you'll notice, rent prices will drop significantly because
Mm-hmm.
there's a plethora. But when there's a high demand and very little inventory, it's like a fighting war
Mm.
um, to get a property. And so, with that known, a lot of people are charging a ridiculous amount of money for not very much. I mean, I'm realistic in my thoughts on this real estate industry, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think everybody else is, because $3,900 for 1,200 square feet is not a lot. You're It's almost a box. It's a little bit bigger than a
No,
box.
yeah, and you have a small family. At the minimum, there's three of you. Maybe sometimes there's going to be four of you. So that's like only a
Exactly.
little bit bigger than that's only a little bit bigger than my place.
Right. This is
And
what
so
I'm
that
saying.
now putting
So
two more people in
that's a
there, but
mortgage. That's a mortgage for a
ooh,
full
that's
house.
more
Like,
than a mortgage.
right? It's ridiculous. And so, you know, they need to build. They need to
Yeah.
build. We need to build as much as we can, so that hopefully in the next couple of years, we won't face a serious recession,
Mhm.
because everybody's speculating
Oh yeah,
on
it's
that.
coming.
And whenever
It's
you
like
look
kind of
into
already
this,
here.
well, technically, right?
Hmm.
It's here, but the higher ups in economy don't want to
No, they're
alarm
trying to
people.
curtail it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not giving you the full scoop. But I have lots of family and friends that are within the industry and have
Hmm.
told me, expect a hike in the interest rates in the next two
Yeah.
to 3 years. And what I was told was a 35% increase.
Mm.
That's what I was told. Um, I hope that's not the case, because, people who are trying to break into the industry, it's going to be even harder.
Yeah.
Um, because you have to be able to qualify. That's
Yeah,
it. You
and
need to qualify.
qualifying is really, really hard. But okay, well, yeah, I just wanted to, yeah, you to share your experience because I know
But
we have
hope
a
is
unique
alive. Hope is
hope.
alive.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you're gonna get a place. That's
hope
without
is
a
alive.
doubt.
They're out
And
there. It's just harder, and you have to be
yeah,
patient.
yeah, just have patience. You'll definitely get what you want. Everybody else does eventually. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so my week was pretty good. The only thing that was stressing me this week is that I had unfortunately had an accident with my laptop. The
Mm,
on the Monday, it just I have a carpet in front of my bed, which has saved me many times when my drop my. It's not the first time I've dropped my laptop, but this time it said
mm,
not today, not
not
today, Jeanette. And I
today.
think the only difference today was that time on Monday was that it was open, so it fell back and it was open on the screen. And so
Oh,
I
good.
opened it. Again, this laptop has been pretty good. The MacBook Pro, it's an old model. It's even an old model MacBook Pro. I don't know if it's because it's old and hard and heavy, why it lasted so long, but I've
Mm-hmm.
dropped it many times and it's been fine. And it had its last day. So it was fully working, but the screen was gone. So I kind of had to plug it into my monitor to use it to edit the last week's episode. But I'm like, I need to edit the episode. What am I going to do? And I tried
Mm-mm.
everything, was on YouTube. It was like, this is so annoying. And then I'm like, you know what? It's funny enough. Maybe I jinxed myself because that same weekend, that Sunday, the day before, I was telling my sister that I kind of want to get a upgrade because mine's is pretty old and it's so heavy. It's a good laptop, nothing wrong with it, but I
Mm-hmm.
just want a more lighter and compact thing to use. And next day, there's something dropped and the screen was gone. That led to me going to the Apple store, thinking to myself, my ignorant self, on Thursday after work. I work downtown, so I'm like, let me go to Eaton Center. They have an Apple store. Listen, the
Mm-hmm.
madness. This is the madness, and I know the Apple Store is always popular because people like to browse and play. I know, but I was just like, what? And the store's massive. This is downtown
Mm-hmm.
Toronto. I'm like, you meet, and they have all these workers here. I'm like, there's not one person that can help me. I know what I want. I just want you guys to go in the back and get my laptop, and so I could purchase this thing and leave. Like, I'm not trying to
Mm-hmm.
do nothing. I know what I'm getting myself into. And the guy that helped me was like, well, we don't have any of the one I wanted, a specific one. There's a new Midnight Black MacBook Air that I want, and they didn't. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
are you kidding me? Last night, I literally specifically came here because last night I looked online and said you guys had it. Anyway, long story short, I ended up having to drive to Yorkdale in
Mm-mm.
traffic, which is like 30
Mm-mm.
minutes plus 30 minutes plus in traffic. And I went to go pick it up in Yorkdale and I got it. But I say all of this to say, is there a recession? Because the way these people were up in the Apple store, people
This is what
must
I'm
have
telling
money.
you. I'm
People
telling
must have
you.
money because the way they were up in the Apple store, boy, let me tell you.
I think the people who do have money right now are one of two people. Either they're the jobs that could work from home,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
they're the jobs that are in high demand.
Mm.
Because I've noticed that everywhere I go, they're hiring.
Hmm.
Everywhere. It could be to the subway and they're hiring everywhere I go. However, if you are somebody that is going from one industry to another, unless you got in when it was good, like unless you made that career switch, like if you went
Hmm.
from construction to delivering food,
Yes.
do you know what I'm saying? Then, you got in when it was good and was a high demand for people delivering food.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you can be
Yes.
balling right now, you know? But those who didn't switch a career choice or, decided to supplement their income in another way, yeah, there's suffering going on. Um, I don't
But
know
yeah, but
because
but
I'm
I mean, I'm
seeing,
sure there's people who are like, anytime there's a recession, there's going to be a particular group. I hate to see, but there's always going to be a particular group, usually middle class, lower to middle class, that is more affected than everybody else. Every class is affected, but I would
hmm
say disproportionately, it's the lower middle class households that might be affected by
hmm
a recession. But
well,
I was just,
middle class people are what runs the economy.
of course,
Period
yeah.
and blank. Because children take from the economy through
Mhm.
child here in Canada at least, through child tax benefits and so on. And when you're really old, now you're taking from the system through your pension. So
Mhm.
the people who are in the middle, who are, I would say, between the ages of 25 to like 50, okay, are they're the ones that are keeping the economy going.
Yeah.
And of those people, if you are a middle class person, you're the one getting the brunt of everything. So you're
Yep.
the one that gets the most taxes taken out, of your check. You're the one that pays the highest property taxes.
Mhm.
Because usually, if you're older, most people either own their home or are about to own their home, and all they really have to pay is the little piece of more property taxes.
Mhm.
But when you're paying a mortgage and property taxes, it can get really, a lot. So it's the middle class that really runs the economy. We're the ones that dictate the economy because we're the ones that are working. We're the ones that are, not taking as much from our social system. So, I mean, we gotta pay for
Yeah.
granny. We gotta pay
Yeah,
for
we
granny
do.
and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so long story short, I went through the rigmarole to get my laptop because normal people would say, Jeanette, why don't you just order online? Why did you put yourself through that? Because it would have taken a whole week. I
Thank
wasn't trying to
you.
go without my laptop for a whole week, and my work laptop is annoying to use. So, and
hmm
it's, try to keep it separate. But anyway, got a new one up and running, functioning. Week was otherwise pretty good though. Um,
I'm just glad
I
you
was,
got one.
yeah, I
I'm
got one.
glad
It
that it
was,
wasn't a back order kind of situation.
ooh, it almost was, girl. It almost was, and I was
See?
committed to getting this. I was
Mm-hmm.
committed to getting this color. I could have got one downtown, but they have the MacBook Airs have this new midnight blue or midnight black color, and it's
Oh,
me being so
nice.
obsessed. Once I make up my mind about something, it's it. That's what I want. That's
Yeah.
what I'm getting. And even the guy at the store was like, "Yeah, we have the space gray, but if you want," I'm like, "Yeah, well, if I'm gonna spend this much money, it's gonna be the color I want. I'm good.
Right?
I'll go to Yorkdale."
It should be, but it's worth it because you got it, you found it, which is good.
Yeah,
That's
and
half the battle.
it was a battle, boy. But yeah, so
Mm-mm.
let's jump into our headlines.
Yorkdale. No way in hell you would have find me in a Yorkdale, you hear? Anyway,
Yeah, but
yeah.
you know what? It's you know what? Remember, Yorkdale is hell during like prime shopping season, but this was like a Thursday evening. It was
Wow.
like after 7:30, like almost 8 o'clock. It was actually dead. Believe it or not, it was dead for inside the
Mm-mm.
mall. Like the parking lot is always packed, but inside the mall was, I would call it dead. So much. The designer. We know that Yorkdale is our designer mall. For those
Mm-hmm.
listening, the
Well, I would say
Balenciaga.
Eaton Center. Eaton Center.
Kim, no. That's what I thought, but no. Eden doesn't have some
Really?
of these
Well, you
stores.
know what?
The
I haven't been
designers,
in years. I
you
haven't been
haven't
in
been in
years.
years. I mean, they might have a handful, but I think the high end designer stuff is in Yorkdale. Like they all have storefronts.
I believe it. I
Boutique.
believe it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, yeah,
think
yeah, yeah. I think it's
Markville
a
is trying to
security
mimic
reason.
them.
Yeah, and I think it's a security reason not to have it downtown. Like here is a little bit, Yorkdale's a little bit more suburban. Like yes, close to the hood, but
Right.
everyone, you better believe every one of the high end stores have security at the front door, and you can't just walk
Yeah,
in.
better believe it. Hmm.
So, but yeah, anyway, that was my excursion. So into the headlines. So we'll start with the biggest news that hit us this week. Miss Queen Elizabeth II has passed away at the age of
Hmm.
96. And like I said, what's interesting was I heard the news in the morning. They were saying that the queen was sickly. I'm like, this the queen gets sick every once in a while, so
Hmm.
I know that, and that is news. We normally do get news when the queen is sick, so that wasn't alarming either. But I was shocked when they later that afternoon I heard people in the office buzzing around that the queen was dead, and I was like, wait a minute, I thought she was sick, right? But I guess the clue was
Right?
when they were where I guess I guess the clue is when they were talking about it in the morning news. They did mention that her sons were came to her side, so I guess that should have been a sign to me to know that
Yep.
things were
That's
not
usually
looking
the
good.
sign. Hmm. That's
Um,
usually the sign.
yeah,
Yeah, go on.
we're going to
Hmm.
talk about this in our workout in the episode, but she was a big figure to the world, you know. RIP. We thought she was, we thought she was going to go. I thought she was going to make it to 100, to be all honest, but her husband did die last year. And typically couples who've been married that long, when one
Yep.
goes, the other one not too
Yep.
long before the other one follows. But yeah, what were you
Hmm.
going to say?
Well, what I was gonna say was that she's 96 years old, so I kind of expected
Mm,
her to be sickly. So when I heard that, I was like, yeah,
yes.
okay. Listen, Queen Victoria, she don't play. She's tough as rocks. So she's
Elizabeth.
gonna get past this. She's gonna bounce back, and then we're not gonna hear nothing about it. But lo and behold, it never goes so. Two twos, she's dead. I'm like, what? What happened? Like I thought she was just gonna bounce back, with her 96-year-old
Yeah.
self. I thought she was gonna bounce back, but it didn't go
Mhm.
so. But as you said, we are gonna, go deeper into that later, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so next up on the headlines that popped up on my timeline was 50 Cent going in on another woman, another black woman. Not that he discriminates, Lil
Hmm.
Kim. And
Hmm.
he started, and nothing new with him going after people, but I guess she must have had a lyric. She did a new song. She jumped on the Megan song Plan B, the remix, and there's a quote in there where she says in the song, I'm gonna quote, "Nigga, you's a bitch. Your father's a bitch. Your brother's a bitch. Keep acting like this, and your son's gonna be a bitch. Niggas think they users, but they useless." And the song was about ex, like if I the context of the song is talking about like relationships, your ex boyfriend or ex whatever you want to call it. So Megan's song Plan B, it's talking about an ex, and so she's coming on, and I think Kim, I never got that context, and so 50 must have made a post and said something about, pretty much alluded that she was talking about Nikki's family and her son. He's like, "Hey, yo, Nikki, come roast this girl," or something, right? And then he
Hmm.
posted a picture of an owl beside Lil Kim in her BET Award Prada outfit, which it's funny. This is bad, but it's funny. And then he pretty much said something about her child, because if you've seen pictures of Lil
Yeah, he
Kim's
came for
child,
the baby. Yeah, he sure did.
yeah,
Like
and
a
he made
dummy.
something about something like worry about your child's eye or something like that. I was trying
Yeah,
to find the
because
actual.
little
Mm-hmm,
Kim's baby, her daughter,
mm-hmm,
it's nothing wrong with her eyeball. It's that she has a
mm-hmm,
smaller eye than the like one eye is smaller than the other.
mm,
That's it. That's all. She can see. You know.
yeah, yeah, she can see.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, so
Yeah.
I found the post that he made. He said, "You better light her ass up." He tags Nicki Minaj. He says, "You better light her ass up. I'm watching." She said something about the baby. Her baby eye fucked up. LOL emoji. 50? Ooh. Anyway, so he posts
Ugh.
that, and then Lil Kim comes
Clap
back.
back. Yes. with
comes
real
back and says
grace.
something. She said a few things, but she kept it classy. She had a classy clap back, and she called out 50's girlfriend right now. I don't know if he's married to her, but I think 50, whoever 50's with right now, beautiful woman, Cuban links. And she's like, "You're a smart lady, pretty much stop dating this guy." And he came back because he's just mad I never went on a date with him how many years ago when he was interested in her, and something to that effect. But I bring this all up to be like, when will it stop for 50? Like 50, you are damn near 50. Like, like why? Like, I get it. Like, he's used this to be like his quote unquote beefs have been helpful in marketing and his business and his career and his brands. But like, really, this is too much. This is too much.
Right? Well, here's what I have to say to 50. Stop coming for the black woman, because now I'm
Right?
starting to feel like you are anti black woman. You know what I mean? Like, you have a real aggression towards black women. And I want to be specific that, yeah, he'll come for anybody. He will.
Yeah, because he
But
did go after
I
Madonna.
noticed, right. Okay. I've noticed that when he comes
Hmm.
harder at black women than anybody else for some
Hmm.
particular reason. 50, you're a brilliant man. Why are you putting yourself in this position? Why are you coming for this woman's child? I see your own relationship with your own son and how damaged that is. So I can see that you're not, you don't rock with kids. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But to come for this woman's child, really? All of that? For what? If you took offense to what was said, it's because that's a reflection of your inabilities that you are projecting. Nobody is
Hmm.
projecting that onto you. That wasn't about you. None of the lyrics had your name throughout it. And if you feel salty, then I think that's a moment of self-reflection, not to attack
Hmm.
this woman. But one thing in Little Kim's comment that is very true is from the beginning of this woman's career, people have disrespected Little Kim
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
day one. And they come for her neck 24/7, all the time. And she's right. She is the
Hmm.
most disrespected woman in the game. Why? I don't know. If she wants to change her face, that's her business. It's not your face. If she wants to change her color because of her own, internal dialogue about her skin, that's not your business. Leave the woman alone. Like, I don't understand. And to be quite honest, she could have backlashed on 50 in so many different ways, but she kept it classy. And one consistent thing she's done in her career is always kept it classy against the haters. When she wants to come raw, she puts it on wax. Okay, she puts it in her music. You
Hmm.
know, which I feel is a therapeutic way of dealing with it instead of coming for people's children. 50, I need you to go worry about your son. That's what I need
Hmm.
you to do. The one that looks just like you walking around here. Yeah, him. You need to go worry about your son. Lastly, you really need to sit down with your mommy issues because you got a lot of mommy issues, 50. And
Hmm.
it's so in your face that we can't hide it. We can't deny it. It's in our face. You got mommy issues. Okay? I know your mom, sold drugs, was doing all sorts of things that she shouldn't have done. But that doesn't give you the right to take it out on every other black mother out there. It just doesn't. So what I need you to do is take a tall, tall glass of shut the fuck up. That's what you need to do. I don't like you right now, 50, because you're very divisive and I don't like it. You don't need to. We already have enough separation between black man and black woman. We don't need you to come and make it popular. We don't need you to put flame to it. We don't. We really don't. So go sit down someplace. And furthermore, Nicki Minaj is not your pit bull. Okay, she's not your pit bull.
Right? Yeah.
If she
Hmm.
wanted to address it, she would. But she obviously didn't see a damn thing wrong with it. And lastly, Whenever you see black women getting along in this industry, there's always a 50 Cent to try to tear it apart. Because they've been trying since Nicki Minaj came out and started popping to compare her to Lil Kim. They have tried to set them, against each other.
Hmm.
And
They did
for the
set them against
longest,
each
it
other.
worked. For the
Hmm.
longest. But now we have two women who have squashed the nonsense and are doing greatness together. And here we come, Mr. 50 Cent. Okay, just go think of an episode for Power. Like, I need you to go do something other than go on the internet and bash black women. I really do. Deal with your mommy issues. Go sit down with your son. Have a good old funky time with him. Like, really, find something else to do.
Okay, and so going from there, we're going to jump into a big story that came out during the long Labor Day weekend in Canada. I mean, I saw this even in the US news talking about the mass murder in Saskatchewan by two, I believe they were brothers. They have the same last name, so I believe they were brothers. Yeah, they're brothers in Saskatchewan, Canada, on a or close to a native or Aboriginal reserve or community. They are also part of the community, and I believe from what I've read that they were recently released from jail. I think that's some of the understanding that I got. Since that story has come out, first of all, 10 people were stabbed to death, and multiple people were injured. And it started with them stealing, I don't know, trying to break into somebody's house. But I'm gathering from what I've read that they were probably not well coming out of jail recently,
Mm-hmm.
and have since been found dead. So one was found dead, and the one and this week they arrested the other one, and shortly after that he died from complications. Well, they didn't say health complications. That's how they described it. And so very interested.
AKA to beat the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. Go on.
Yeah, something. Yeah, like that's like what the heck? How the
No,
hell?
you
Like
beat the shit
I'm
out of
trying
him.
to.
He died. That's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel like because I'm trying to find the exact wording that they used in the article, because they said yeah, they found them, and the one was found dead, and they said that it wasn't self-inflicted, but they haven't obviously described what that was. I'm like, did he kill himself? I was thinking that he killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said his injuries were not believed to be self-inflicted. So that's what they said. But the other one was found arrested, and then he went into medical emergency and they could not revive him. So both of these men have since died, Miles Sanderson and Damian Sanderson. And the senseless killing that shocked the nation.
Yep.
We don't have any answers, but
Nope. But
it's
I have
they
a
were
theory.
recent. Yeah, yeah. What's that?
Mm-hmm. My
What
theory
was that?
is, what the hell do you expect these Indian people to do? What do you
Mm,
expect them to do? We have pushed them out to the most remote parts of Canada.
mm-hmm,
They still have places where they don't have indoor plumbing. There's no job opportunities. And they're trying to create a pipeline right through most of where they live. So what do you expect? Like, I'm not saying that taking anybody's life is okay. I think it's a sin. I don't think it's all right. I don't believe that they should have went about things the way they did. But what do we expect? As native people, I've learned over the years about native people, not just from the standpoint of textbooks and history, but they haven't had it easy and they're still in the fight. Like, they're very much deep in the fight. There's no
mm-hmm.
opportunities for them. There isn't. Suicide rates are high amongst native people. Alcoholism is high. Domestic abuse is high. Okay? They don't, so I'm not justifying, but when I hear of these things happening, which is far in between here in Canada, where was their state of mind?
Oh, they're
You know,
clearly mentally ill.
here in all the comforts of Canada, because we're in the comfortable part of Canada,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Where we have indoor plumbing, reasonable weather that we can deal with, opportunities, jobs. We can use our social system very easily. Think of where they are and where we are, and how
What's
they can't
killing me
progress, they
is,
can't go forward, they can't move, and the poverty alone
yeah,
is going to create enough crime where things like this will happen.
what's killing me is they two men were able to murder and
12
injure.
people.
Okay, murder. So let's say focus on the people they murdered. They murdered 10 people with a knife.
Yeah.
Okay, they're saying it might have been one brother, but either way, one or two, it's still crazy. The first call was reported. The first stabbing was reported at 5:40 their time, local time, and then by 9:45, that's a whole 4 hours later.
Yep.
Authorities reported victims in multiple locations. So another thing relating to their community is like, how were they able to kill 10 people before somebody stopped them?
Thank you.
Like, that is
And
crazy.
that's why I wanted to point out the fact that when you push people out to the most remote parts of Canada with no way of seeing a way forward, no way of doing better, we're going through a pandemic. Can you imagine what they were dealing with?
Hmm.
Where the nearest hospital could be a whole like town over.
Yeah.
So I'm not justifying, because wrong is
Hmm.
wrong and right is right. However, when people do wrong, we have to think about why. And the
Yeah. And they're
fact
saying that
that they went
they
unnoticed,
released. Hmm.
you know why they went unnoticed? Because nobody cares about Native people here in Canada.
Mm.
That's just the straight
Mm.
truth. So they can go under
Hmm.
the radar. They're able to go and pick 10 people and murder them one by one. How do you do that? How do you do that here in Canada? How do you do that? Tell me.
And what's scary is they have the news. The media has put out his Miles Sanderson, who's believed to be the main instigator of the main brother who instigated the killings. Um, it is scary, like what they
Yeah.
wrote, because I mean, I'll just read a portion of it, and this is like, so he was released February of this year. And so they said his parole, when he was released, they have to do a formal reading of your release or whatever. So it says it says he was assessed by a psychologist for moderate risk of violence. Your criminal history is very concerning, including the use of violence and weapons related to your index offenses, and your history of domestic violence, which victimized family, including your children and non-family, and included children and non-family. You are assessed as a moderate risk of violence and domestic violence by the psychologist. While your behavior in custody has not demonstrated significant concerns, there have been some minor incidents. So a cutoff. That's a little brief. That's a little few snippets of Miles Sanderson's parole and release, statutory release
Mm-hmm.
document. That's telling me that's somebody who's not really, who needs to be like closely supervised. Like, this is a
Right?
dangerous person. This is not a safe person to put back into society. But to your point, maybe they don't care. Like, he's going back to his community, whatever. But
Yeah. We'll
anyway,
just ship
prayers
him
up.
back to you know,
Yeah, yeah.
no,
Prayers up
prayers up,
to
definitely. Yeah.
that community
And
in
I'm going to say,
Saskatchewan.
even for the
Hmm.
killers,
Yeah,
prayers up,
yeah.
because
They have
I feel
families too.
like that whole community goes really unrecognized, even here in Canada, and
Yeah,
that we
and
kind
they.
of push them off to the side and forget
Mhm.
about them. And
And
so there was obviously mental health issues right here that obviously
mhm,
never got addressed. So,
clearly, and so
prayers up
the
all around.
the community that faces tragedy is called James Smith Cree Nation. That's the tribe that the murders happened in, and hopefully peace will reign in that community. There's a lot going on they're dealing with, but
Hmm.
we'll move on from the sad story and go on to another I don't know. It's a I don't know kind of story. It's a damn Jesus take the wheel kind of story as far as I'm
Right?
concerned. But last week we were talking about Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears and the charges that were recently came up in the media against them, and they have since each released statements. Obviously, these are serious charges, so they're being very PR friendly, very PR friendly release statements. Fair enough. So Tiffany posted on her Instagram very legally legally sound statement saying, I know people have a bunch of questions. I get it. I'm right there with you. Unfortunately, because there is an ongoing legal case, there's very little that I can say right now. But clearly, while this sketch was intended to be comedic, it wasn't funny at all. And I deeply regret having agreed to act in it. I really look forward to being able to share a lot more about this situation as soon as I can. And then Aries had a statement as well, a little bit after her, and he came on saying, "Listen, obviously, for legal reasons, I really can't talk about anything at this time," which he was talking about on his podcast, his Spears and Steinberg podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is when he released this. But I just more or less want to say to all the loyal listeners, thank you guys for your support and for your love. Listen, this is an extortion case. This is a shakedown. We won't be shaken down. Okay? And so the actual charges they said that have been put on them are pretty serious, and so they both been named together. Um, and so they said they both have been accused of intentional infliction of emotional distress, gross negligence, sexual battery, sexual harassment, and sexual abuse of a minor. So those are pretty serious charges. So we can, even though these statements leave a lot to be desired, but this is a pretty serious charges. So they have to keep it, safe. And yeah, that's been the update on that case. I mean, I myself saw some clips of the actual video that everybody was talking about. I mean, I don't know if there's more, but this is what was online, and it was bad. It was bad. I was like, oh shit, oh, this is so bad. Why would you guys, even if you filmed it with the best intentions, because it's positioned as kind of like a PSA. Like, I see what they're trying to do, but they
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have used a real child. I feel like you could have used a midget. You could have used, like, you didn't really need to use a real child, which I think would even be more. It could be. It's not a funny topic, so there's some people. It's a topic that some people don't even want to consider. But I kind of like. I do think comedy should be satirical and a reflection of and a story of what do you call it? A warning to people
Mm-hmm.
on whatever issue that you're talking about. There's a way that it could have been quote unquote funny, but it was done very poorly and it's very gross. And yeah, but that was the update. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, this shakedown. Mm-hmm. Remember
Well,
last week we were
I feel sorry
saying
for Erie. Hmm.
I don't feel sorry
Yeah.
for Aries at all. You know why? Because you opened Pandora's box, bro.
Oh
You
yeah. Like, I
opened
don't
it.
feel sorry for him, but I more feel like he's not protected. Like Tiffany Haddish is very much protected by Hollywood. She's very much liked and loved, but
Yeah, but
Aries
she
has
has more to
always been,
lose, Jeanette. She has
but
more to
she has,
lose.
and she has more to lose, but she also doesn't, she's in it. She also doesn't, how do I say this? It doesn't look as bad on her if we're just looking on based on what we're seeing in front of our eyes. It doesn't look as bad on her as it does on him. Even if we talk about what we have more to
Mm-hmm.
lose and all the implications, yes, she has a lot more to lose. But I also think she has a lot more support, and I think a lot more people will be sympathetic to her. Even though the skit, as like I said, is disgusting, I still do think people can. There's an out for her. There's no out for
Mm-hmm.
Aries at all, and no, and top of the fact that he has a very contentious relationship with powerful people and people of influence in Hollywood. So I do feel like he's in hot doo doo. They're both in hot doo doo based on these charges, but I think I think it's he. I don't know. But what were you gonna
For
say?
both of their sakes, I really hope this was a shakedown. But
Mm.
last week I was saying that it felt very ritualistic, and it
Mm.
still does. So I'm gonna stay
Mm.
tuned.
Mm.
Um, Tiffany didn't say much, which she can't.
Mm.
But it was nice that she did say something. I
She
think,
had to.
yeah, the person who I feel the worst for is the child,
The
obviously.
child, yeah. Yeah.
But second in line, I almost want to say Tiffany, because
Mm.
at that time she was probably really desperate
She
to
was, yeah,
break
it was,
out
yeah.
in the industry,
Mm.
and she didn't realize that this was going to come back to haunt her, and desperation was probably the name of the game, and
Mm.
she, unfortunately got herself mixed up in something that she shouldn't have. And
Yeah.
being that she is a survivor of sexual abuse,
Mm.
I think it's even worse that you're involved with something so lewd.
Mm.
So I told you, you
Whew.
better have that bag for them lawyers. You better have that bag because you're going to need those
Hmm.
lawyers. Because if this is not a
Yep.
shakedown, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But you know what? I'm going to keep my
Yeah.
ear to the ground on that one because I'm really curious to see how that ends up playing out.
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
Okay, so that's it for headlines. We're going to move into our first segment, which is Gwan for Real. In this segment, we look at stories that just don't add up. They don't make much sense. We hear them, we see them, and we have to ask the hard question. Wagwan for real.
For real.
And so this week, I do a deep side because this is a topic we've talked. We're talking about Kanye Omari West, and he came back on social media with a vengeance, like he often does.
Always.
Um,
Not often. Always. It's a guarantee.
and
Hmm.
this time, the issue is, and I mean, there's been rumblings of this, but I think now, obviously, I'm like, what has happened in the past
Hmm.
2 weeks where now he pretty much posted the whole board of Adidas on his thing. He posted somebody named Daniel Cherry, who I guess was hired on Adidas, and he he roasted him. I'm not gonna lie, the man roasted whoever Daniel Cherry the third or the second is. Ooh, Kanye went in, and he is the Adidas senior vice president who must have been hired recently. And I don't know if he's a creative director or what, but he's a senior vice president and general manager at Adidas. And so he was brought in, and I guess some things must be happening internally that has Kanye upset. But essentially, from what I've gathered, from what I've seen, and what I've read, um, Kanye is frustrated because he's doesn't have a lot of say in the board. And this is, again, like I said, this is not new. But so first in May, he was upset about the new Adilet 22 sandals that look very much like the Yeezy slides, but they have a little bit more texture. But design wise, I can see the similarities.
Yeah,
And as
me too.
well, they also have a new shoe that I saw that looks very much like the Yeezy. I don't know what they're called, but the foam, the Yeezy foams, the weird looking space shoes that are open, like kind
Yeah,
of like
I call them space shoes too.
the
Yeah.
space
Hmm.
shoes that look like clogs. They look like Crocs. I would say that's the only thing I can compare them. They're Yeezy version of Crocs. And so Adidas now has a version of a shoe that looks like that. I'm not sure what it's called, but I'm like, oh, this is a dead stamp of the foams. And he's been very vocal about that. And he says, I am not standing for this blatant copying anymore. This is for everyone who wants to express themselves, but they feel they can't because they'll lose their contract or be called crazy. These shoes represent the disrespect that people in power have to talent. And this is really just a power to all of this to say, this setup to say that this is clearly a power struggle. And based on what has been said, is there's a power struggle between these boards and Kanye. Kanye wants more creative control. Well, I don't even think it's creative control. He wants more control over
Period.
his brand or the decisions that they're making and how they're rolling out in the stores and all of this stuff, right? And I get, and he's going on this tirade, and he's calling these things out, and people are, he's really good at riling people up to get him on his side and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he also calls out that somebody on the board, which is this woman named, I don't remember her last name, but it's a woman named Jin, because he kept on calling her out Jin, and she is on the board of Adidas as well as the board of JP Morgan Chase, who he has since asked for a loan. And so he's calling her out specifically because there's a conflict of interest, which I agree.
Right.
Now, I think we can just boil it down to, like I said, control over the Yeezy brand and what's going on with it. And these boards that are responsible for investors and the investment and profits versus a creator and creative lead of the Yeezy brand that is connected to Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I've set this up. We don't need to go on the post. Y'all can go on the post. Well, he deletes them, but we get it. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's not. Well, it's not smoke and mirrors. It's like a tantrum. You know, when a child doesn't know
Yep.
how to get what they want and they start kicking and screaming.
That's
Kanye
right.
is kicking and screaming. And now
Yeah.
here's where, as somebody who I've admitted on this podcast many times that I'm biased when it comes to Kanye, I'm usually on his side. However, my issue with this is, and this is when he had that infamous interview with Sway, and Sway
Mm-hmm.
was telling him, Kanye, why don't you do it on your own?
Right.
And his response, outside of, how, Sway? How? Outside of that, that infamous quote
Yep.
and meme, is that he says, I need capital. He didn't have the capital when he started. And so that's why he partnered with Adidas for his, obviously iconic Yeezy brand. And he has since partnered with Gap and Balenciaga, right? I think the
Mm-hmm.
Gap and Balenciaga didn't need to happen. Like, after you're a billionaire when you made that deal with Gap. So I think the deal with Gap was not necessary. But anyway, I'm coming down. This comes down to contracts, agreements. So you had an agreement when you signed that contract with
That's
Adidas. When
right.
you have, what it was in there that says that, I'm pretty sure they had something in there that allows them to design whatever the hell they want to design.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure
That's
they have
right.
agreement with you on the role you play on the board. Did
Mm-hmm.
you sign a contract that said you had a role in the board? If not, I mean,
Kanye is too for me. Sometimes,
and then if you think about it again, if you think about it, even if that wasn't in the contract and he wanted to navigate himself, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to. But if we think about him as a person, as a brand, his brand, and who he is, there's no way he could be on the board of a corporation, a public
Thank
corporation
you.
that's publicly traded, because
Thank you. Wear
investors
their
would be
stocks and
shitting
bonds. Thank
their
you. Mm-hmm.
draws. Like,
You
you're
know,
just too, you're not that person. You're not the person that needs to be on the board of a publicly traded company. Sorry,
not
it's
with
too
your
risky.
insane backlash of the actual brand. You're
Yep.
not thinking of the best interest of the brand at
Nope.
all. Why are you going on any sort of platform to knock the brand? Like,
Unless
I don't
you
know.
plan
This is
on
business
buying out.
101. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And he
Uh,
did say, yeah, go
mhm.
ahead.
No, go ahead. They did say. Mm-hmm.
He said that he was offered $1 billion to sell or whatever back to the brand over to Adidas. Okay, that's insulting. One. But here's my thing. Why didn't you buy? They
Thank
offer, like,
you.
I think you put yourself in, again, he explained his reasoning for partnering with Adidas, but from the beginning this was a bad idea, because this is, everybody was saying, when Kanye was doing that whole media tour around that time, everybody was like, why are you upset at the designers, at the corporations and the designers who, and the Louis Vuittons who don't want to partner with you? Why do you keep getting mad? Why do you keep getting mad that, why don't you do it on your own ownership? We always talk about this when we talk about black empowerment. We always talk about legacy and financial freedom, financial
Mm-hmm.
literacy,
Looking
we want
forward to the
to
future.
looking
Mm-hmm.
forward. This is him. And
Mm-hmm.
you, the same person who talk about Black Future Month,
What are you
you
doing
kind of,
about it?
what are you
What are you
doing about it
doing?
now? Or this is a bad deal. So now, if you've created Yeezy, you can go and create something else and still be as successful because, again, it's been proven over and over again. If he wants to do something, there's most likely 9 times out of 10, outside of trying to be the president of the United States, he's going to be successful, right?
And
So,
if I'll be honest with you with that whole president thing, if
mm,
he came in the race at the right time, we might he might have been in the running. Believe it or not. I believe
yeah, if
that he
Trump can
has such a
win,
fan base. He has such a
mm,
fan base that he could have, but I think he just started out too
mm,
late, and he got a little ridiculous on the stage, but
yeah,
in the debate. But anyhow, my feeling about Kanye West is this. Now I'm gonna do it in two different parts. First, I think Kanye, you're brilliant. I think you have a very innovative mind. I think you have a mind that is so far past our society as it stands, that it could be misconstrued as crazy or absurd. But this right here, Kanye, you are not a good businessman.
mm,
You know how to make money with your
yeah,
innovations and your creativity. I'm not going to take that from you. However, you are poor at business. You need to go back to school, to high school dropout. You need to go back and we need to go to school about business. This is not a good look.
mm,
It's not a good look. Let's take race out of the picture for a second and just
yeah,
focus on business. In business, you never downplay or let anything appear wrong with the
mm,
brand that you are trying to promote and sell to other people. Adidas is not the only one in the game. There are many competitors that are always neck and neck with Adidas. So you going out there and putting this salt on the name of Adidas is bad business altogether. Second, I know you lost control in your marriage, but you're not going to find it in the boardroom. You're
mm,
not. Period. Kanye, he very often shows narcissistic tendencies,
yeah,
and him wanting to have control in an environment where he don't have no control shows you how narcissistic he can be. You are not in a realm where you can have the control and creative discretion as you think. You're just not. Now, houseway, take the $1 billion you got, which is increasing by the day. Every product you drop, it goes nuts. So take the $1 billion you got and invest in yourself. Invest in the black community. Invest in your fellow man. But no, instead, we want to have a tantrum and cry off to the side that you're not getting the control that you're craving. You're not getting the attention that you feel you deserve in this realm. Well,
mm,
when it comes to business, if you do not look like a dollar sign, okay, if your name is not dollar or cent, businesses don't really give a damn because that's what they're driving for is the dollar and the cent. Now, I feel like you're trying to grab or gain more control in your business affairs because you lost a lot of it in your marriage that has ended. And having Kim Kardashian, and I know it's relevant and I'll explain why, having her parade around with her boy toy, you understand, was a
mm,
knock to your ego that you couldn't really handle. We saw this in the video you made of killing the man. Rico Act, like really? And lastly, you're desperately trying to gain back some power and you're trying in the wrong realm. Now, Kanye, you're at the table, bro. You're at the table. The hard part is done. Why can you not find an amicable agreement with Adidas? Why can you not? And it's unfortunate that Black people have to do this in the fashion industry, but show them what your value is. You might have to
Well,
take a bad deal at first, but once you show them the value that you can bring, you can go back to the same table and renegotiate. But instead, we want to have a tantrum all over the social medias. Bad look, bad for business. You want big couture uh, fashion icons to mess with you, and when you don't get your way, this is what you do? Nah.
yeah. No, yeah. So
No
I
one's
like
gonna
we
want to mess with you.
yeah, I
You're
think the
putting
main point
yourself in a
is
box and you
mhm,
don't even see it. Like you
yeah.
yourself are putting yourself in the box. So when you ask how sway, well, either you climb out of that box and make your own and do your own with your $1 billion and change, or you shut up and sit at the table and accept what you're given. Now, another issue I have, so maybe there's three. Another issue I have is this flip flop that Kanye is notorious for. One minute you're pro-black, your black people are supposed to thrive for you, push for you, protest for you, make noise for you, so that you can be at that table in those spaces and get what the hell you want. But whenever you're in those spaces, somehow us black people don't, we're not as irrelevant anymore. When
Mhm.
you're riding Trump's tail and saying that slavery it was a choice. Are you down with us or not, Kanye? Are you down for black people or not? Now, I listened to some of what Kanye has to say, and I do think that he's brilliant in his thoughts on black people and our progression mentally, right? I agree with a lot of his points. However, it teeter totters. At one minute you're pro black and the next minute you're not. And why is that relevant to me? Because if you can change opinions like you change your draws, then I don't know if I can rock with you, because I don't know
Mhm.
what you really stand for. I don't know. And if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So for me, I can't rock with someone like that, because what Kanye are we getting today? The one that's pro black that, will sit there and diss Adidas and you know, uh, go out there and rally for us black people. But then as soon as you get where you're going, you don't remember us. You don't know us no more. You forgot about us. So it's
Yeah,
hard
well
for me to rock with you, Kanye.
mhm.
And it's hard for me to rock with you in spaces like this where you're talking billions of dollars while there's black people who can't feed their kids. So miss me with the bullshit. Please and thanks. You're crying like a little bitch, and I need you to man up right now, okay? And either do your own or sit at the table and eat your food.
Yep,
Period.
yep. Do your own or sit at the table. So before we come off of this topic,
Because
our
Kanye gets on my damn nerve.
our
Mm.
favorite, well, I'll say my favorite, uh, read, reader. She will read you down, Mrs. Zelia Banks.
Yes,
She
she
has something to
will.
say.
She's
She
made a
always has something
career out
about.
of that shit,
She has a
man.
weird. She has a weird relationship with. She has a weird relationship with a few artists, but Kanye is one of them, as well as Dave Chappelle. But I feel like there's something there. So she made some after his rants. That's around the same time. She made some posts. I'm going to read some quotes from it, and some of them will make if you're really close to Kanye's career, like myself, then you'll kind of get what she's trying to say. But okay, so here we go. Um, so I'm going to read some of it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a rant, so it's a little bit chaotic, but I'll try my best to make the best sense of
Mm-hmm.
it. So this is Zelia Banks going reading Kanye down. like you dead ass stole your whole interest in fashion from D and Ricky. You tried stealing Death Grip sound and failed miserably. You bought a stolen render of an airplane to the Oval Office. Crackheads had
Wow.
leather jogging Crackheads had leather jogging pants in 1981. If everyone can just quote unquote steal your shit, maybe it's time to realize you don't really have anything.
Thank you.
Adidas wasn't going to make you a billionaire and not keep rights to the name of the shoe. Just be realistic and stop trying to paint the white people you traded out plenty of black investors for your obsession with white approval.
Thank
Ooh,
you.
gun shots fired. Shots fired.
Yes.
Um she goes
Ammunition.
on to say
Mm-hmm.
real rich people real rich people want no one to know they have money. They're not
That's right.
interested in fame or celebrity. You're gonna fuck around and lose it all again. And let me guess, blame that on racism too?
Mm-hmm.
Every time you want to brag about being the richest black man in the other black men's faces, remember that you will never be the richest man because you're still black. And that's to your point, Kim. For every Kanye billionaire, for every Kanye billionaire West, there are 30 richer white
Thank
billionaires
you,
their
Azealia.
fortunes who made their fortunes designing the traps you walk right into. A
Which you
word. That's a
have.
big word. That is
Mm-hmm.
a big word. I also hope you know how insignificant your fortune is on a cultural level. A black man selling sneakers, none of the white niggas you dick ride think that is the future. It's a stereotype beyond measure. Ooh,
Yep.
ooh. Whew. And
Yes. And she read
she
them for
said
the
some
show.
other things.
Thank you.
She said some other things. Okay, just okay. One other thing that I wanted to call out that she said, you brought it's about Tiana Taylor. I'm trying to find it. Okay. Oh God, she's going in on him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you bought a dope fiend and a dude a Birkin before I've ever seen Tiana post some flowers from you on her damn birthday. Like you spent Tiana's PR and video budgets on hanging out with a white girl who literally turned around and was proud of hustling you for a used bag and a wet and wild eyeliner and a hot plate of food. Hoo hoo hoo. I got, of
Wow.
course, talking about What was her name? Julia. See, I already forgot her name. I believe it's
Yeah,
Julia.
you mean Kim lookalike? Her?
Not the Kim lookalike, the one before the white girl. The one before the Kim
I'm
lookalike,
sorry, they
but
all look like Kim to me. But
yeah,
anyway.
right. But I see. I already forgot her name, but she was a clown. But anyway, Azealia gave her a read down. But that's pretty much it. I feel like what's crazy is that is it, and everything we just spent 15-20 minutes talking about this, but Azealia really just summed it up in
She
that
sure did.
Instagram
And
story. Like,
I don't really like Azealia either, but she'll read you for the filth, and I'm here for it
ooh, always,
because
always,
what she
she
said was
always.
true.
Mm,
And my one thing, and I'm done with Kanye and this nonsense, is that,
mm,
Kanye, some things you should keep to yourself. You know, some things should be left to you and only you and your team. You know, we don't need to know everything.
mm.
We really don't.
At least not
And
now.
maybe it's therapeutic for you, or maybe you need to see a therapist or go back into
Well, I
whatever.
see what he's trying to do. He's trying to kick up some smoke and kick up the rocks
Yeah, but for
to
what?
pressure them.
Because you didn't get your way? Like, what
Yeah,
did you
right.
expect a big brand like that to do? And furthermore, didn't
Yeah.
you have this issue already? Like, didn't you, aren't you prepared for this to happen?
Mm.
Isn't that what you were crying about
Nike.
with Nike and with that Louis Vuitton, was it Louis Vuitton, that didn't want anything to do with you? Like, don't you see that this industry, like, haven't you seen how this industry plays out? So I don't know why you're surprised. I really don't. But I don't want to know. I I don't want to know. And honestly, can you make some shoes that I'll actually wear? Like, I'm sorry. They're creative and they might be really great if you're a sneakerhead
Hmm.
and you just put them up on the shelf. But some of your designs look a little mad. They look like I don't know. Kanye, I love you, really, I do. But can you stay your ass off the internet for one damn minute? Like, can you not do something without letting the whole damn world know? Like, kick up what? Adidas is still gonna sell.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's the
Miss
point.
me with it, please. But anyways, this is where we're gonna move into the call outs.
It's a
And we have to answer. We have to answer within a time frame and off the top of our head. So sometimes it
mm.
could be much. But mine could be I think mine is kind of easy, and I'm gonna start it off. So today, me and my daughter were in the car. We heard the radio, and the question of the day was: if you won $1 million, no, $100 million, what would you do? So I'm gonna engineer that question just a little bit further. And
Mm.
if you were, if somebody said, "I'll give you $100 million, but you only
Mm-hmm.
have three options with what to do with the money. First is donate. Second is blow every cent right down to the penny.
Mm-hmm.
Or third, you have one business that you can invest in, and you have to invest the full amount, and you can only have the 100 million when you've turned 100 million profit in that business. Which one would you choose?"
Well, the only choice is the third one. Really. It's only
But
the
you don't
third
know how
one.
long it will take the business.
No, yeah, because 100 million is a lot of money.
That's a
That is
lot
a
of
lot
damn
of
money,
money.
girl.
But
Okay.
the first one is what? The first option is to give it away?
Is it has to be given away to charity,
Charity,
right
yeah.
down to the
So
cent.
right down. So you're not gonna get it with the first one. Good cause, but you're not gonna get any with the first one. Maybe you'll get some kind of good feeling and you'll help a lot of people. So that is something. You'll get something. You're not gonna get money, but you'll get something.
Right.
Second one is spend it all. Like that's impossible.
To the cent.
To the cent. And so you still don't. Well, I mean, you say you there's no specification on spending it all. So, but I want to be consistent with who I am and how I presented myself on this podcast, and go with three because I'm a business person. So I'm gonna stick with it. There's an argument for every one of them,
There
but I'm gonna
is.
just stick with
And
three.
it's,
Yeah.
I guess it all depends on like what stage in your life you're at. Because if
Mm-hmm.
I were to ask that of someone who's on their deathbed, they might be
They'd give it
like, donate
away.
it all.
Yeah.
Or someone who's in retirement who doesn't work anymore,
Mm-hmm.
they might say, well, I want to blow it all. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the one that I would have to take is I would spend every cent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they say spend every cent, but they're not telling me on what.
Yes, that's the loophole. The second one is the loophole one. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
the loophole one. And that's the only
Mm-hmm.
one that I can really see myself going with, because
Mm-hmm.
if I were to go with invest, because I too would want to invest for future, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to wait for it to turn a profit of 100 million, I don't know how long that could be.
Yeah, that could take forever.
I could die and it still don't do it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And maybe there might not be any survivorship, meaning I can't pass that on to my kids for them to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's only in my lifetime. But I mean, obviously it's just a hypothetical question, but I think I would
Yeah.
definitely stick to the second one, and I would spend every cent of it, because you're not telling me how, you're not telling me on what. So, there's other investments like property.
Mm-hmm.
So I might want to invest in property. Maybe even make myself my own little town. Make my own stuff, because I guess maybe it also has to do with, what you're in at your time. Like in the point in my life right now, we're looking for a place,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my mindset's a little bit different based off of that. And if I had the opportunity, I would create myself a town.
Mm-hmm.
Because there ain't no damn properties out here, and I can charge nearly $4,000 for 1,200 square feet. So Shit.
But I feel like that the real estate investment would still fall into the third one. It's still investing your money in something that's supposed to
It is,
return
but the
money.
loophole is that I bought the building.
You bought the building with the intention of renting it, so that's a business.
It is a business, but but the question is
but
which
but
three
but
would I
but
choose, right? And so I'm maybe that's my legal mind looking for the loophole, but I
yeah.
would spend it every red cent because you're not telling
hmm
me how to spend it and what to spend it on. So if I want to buy a full business, or if I want to find a whole compound or a building, I bought it,
hmm
right? So I used
Yep.
the money on what you said.
Yeah,
But what
that's the
you don't know
loophole,
is
I
I'm
guess,
going
for
to
the
turn that
question.
100 million into two.
There
That's
you
what
go.
you don't know. But but that's my question. Yes. So,
Okay, good question. Um, what is an insult you received that I don't want to say you're proud of, but the person wasn't doing what they thought they were doing. So they were trying to insult you, but you were just like, "What? Yeah, that's true." And what?
right?
And so to give you a moment to gather your thoughts,
Mhm.
I'll answer first. And one time, and I won't lie, at the time I was slightly offended,
Mhm.
but a little while after I was like, or as a, let's say more as a grown ass woman, I now look back at it and be like, yeah, that wasn't giving what she thought it was giving. and
Right?
and the person who did the quote unquote insult was not like, there's some people where you can't tell, or at least I'll say for myself, because I'm more trusting of people. Well, I'm not very trustworthy, but in this case, I was trusting of this person. You can't tell if they're trying to be shady or not. Like, you
Mm.
generally, because some people are just so outspoken.
Mhm.
Like, there's some people who are so
Mhm.
outspoken, it's like they don't have a filter.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know if it was a matter of her trying to insult me, or she just didn't have a filter. She never really had much of a filter, but the filter was really off this day. So anyway, she basically
Mhm.
said that I can't read you. I don't even you're really hard to read. And I never know if you're a bitch or if you're just shy. She literally said that
Wow.
to me. Right? And I'll tell you offline who it is. It's somebody I think you would remember her from our university days. And I was like,
Oh.
literally,
Mm.
I was like, what? Like, the whole time I'm thinking I'm friends with this person, and well, she was a friend of a friend, but I mean, she was always in her place,
Mhm.
and like, she was closer to my roommate, but we're cool. We all hung out, we did things together or whatever. So I was like, what? Like, I'm like, that's what you think? Or she thought, well, she thought that's what she thought. But obviously at the time she's gotten to know me better. But I was like, and now, even though at the time I was slightly offended, I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, you know what? It's true. I think when I first meet people, and I think it is a superpower of mine,
That's
because
right.
I don't show all my cards. I'm not
No.
and I don't know if it's natural or even if it's indoctrinated from my mother, but you just don't show all your cards right away. You need to assess every
Yeah.
situation you're in before you just log off your mouth and
Mhm.
in a situation or environment that it's not safe for you to do so. And so I now consider that as something. It's like, yeah, you don't. I want you to be off guard when you meet me. I want you to try. I'm not. You're not going to see all my cards. You're just not. And that's something that I'm proud that I can do. And that's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. A long time ago, I'll tell you who it is too, who said something to me. I was like, at first, I had to think about what they said before I went off at the mouth. And I kept it to myself for a minute. And like you said, I thought about it and I was like, no, actually, that's a good thing, you know? And this person, who again, I'll tell you later, but this person has always been somewhat jealous of me in my life.
Mhm.
And they think very differently than I do. They
Mm,
think what's good for me is good for me and I don't give a damn about nobody else.
mm,
I'm not that person. I'm the type of person who will think how is it going to affect the ones around me?
Mm.
Um, and I think that's my superpower too, because the people who I'm close with, I stay close with for a long time
Mm-hmm.
because I am a considerate person and I'm not going to do something that could negatively affect another person that I care about.
Yeah.
And that person that I'm talking about does whatever they want without thought of anybody who's in their life and how it could affect them.
I think I know
And
who you're
you
talking
know,
about.
you probably clued into who that is. But
Yes.
this person did whatever they wanted to do without care in the world of anybody around them and how it affected them. And I feel like sometimes that's a very selfish way of living. I'm not
Mm.
saying that my way is 100% right, but in my life around the people who I care about, it's worked. And I don't step on anybody's toes. I don't hurt anybody. I don't do things that go out of my way to hurt them, you know? And if I do hurt you, I'll take accountability and I will try to move forward with that person. This particular person that made that comment to me, and the comment was, oh, well, we're different because you think about what everybody else cares about and I don't. I just do what feels good to me. And when they said that, I said, I grew up with this person and I realized how much they affected everybody around them and how much they hurt everybody around them and how much
Mm-hmm.
they even hurt me and how much distaste that people have for that particular person and how much they don't want to be around people who are going to make them feel poorly or make them feel badly about themselves or the situation. So I guess what I'm saying is my superpower, like you called it, would be considering, being a considerate person. I
Mm-hmm.
consider a lot. That could be to some people a downfall, but for me it works. And when I do that in all sorts of aspects of my life, I find that I come out on top. I always come out on top. So for that other person who was insulting me, I look back and I'm like, you're not on top. You're not on top. You have people who are still vexed with you all now. I don't like to walk around this world knowing that there's people who are mad at me or upset with me or I've hurt them. I don't want to do that. And I
Mm.
see that this person who was trying to throw that insult my way, that's exactly what they do. And for some particular reason, people don't want to be around you.
Hmm.
So who's really winning? Who's winning here? I end up on top. I end up the person that they call. Hey, can you come over? And hey, this is going on in my life. We want you a part of it. They don't leave me out. They want me a part of it. So obviously, when you're trying to insult me and say pretty much I'm a pushover and I let everybody else's feelings dictate my life, that's not the case. That's not the case. So to that person, we are vastly different. And if you look at where I am and where you are, who's on top? Who's winning? Because from my perspective, you're not winning. I've been told that you're not winning. So I don't know. But that's anyways. So
Mm-hmm.
moving from the call out into the workout.
The workout.
This is when everyone who has been listening to this podcast, this is our workout section where we do deep dive discussions into things that are affecting our culture, that are affecting us as women, that are just going on that we need to discuss. And so earlier in our episode, we did mention that the Queen died.
Yeah.
Yes, Queen Victoria, 1926 to 2022. She was 4 years away from 100. This is a 96-year-old woman who on Thursday passed away. And there's been many different opinions and views on her passing. And so me and Jeanette wanted to dive deeper into the passing of Queen Victoria. And we want to look at it from different angles as a Canadian, because here in Canada, we still have the Queen on our money.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because that's how much we still view the Queen as a matriarch of our Canadian system, our Canadian country. We look to her, out of respect and so on. She hasn't been able to run this country for many, 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 many years. However, we still respect the monarchy as Canadians. And so we want to talk more about this monarchy and more about the life of Victoria. And I'm going to go in with how I feel quickly so we can get it out the way because I'm long winded today. But
Mm-hmm.
first, I want to say to the Queen's family, my deepest condolences. I know that she played a big factor in your monarchy, your family system, and my heart goes out to you for the loss of the Queen. And death is never anything that we should take lightly, or make fun of, or, use as a weapon against others. So, with that being said, we understand what Queen Victoria had to do. I want everybody to understand this girl was groomed into
Queen
be
Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth.
sorry, Queen Elizabeth, not Victoria. I always anyway. Queen Elizabeth, Victoria was her mom, but anyway, that's not
Mm-hmm.
the point. So, Queen Elizabeth was groomed into the role that she was in. She didn't have a choice. This wasn't, oh, I want to be a teacher and can I get to do that? No, you were going to be a queen, and that was that. She came for 96 years. She ran a country and, well, really, the world for a very long time. And she did the damn thing. And she had a position, she played it, and now she's passed. And I'm going to give her just dues for stepping into that role, even when there were probably times that she didn't want to be. But she did. Now, in terms of the system itself, the monarchy, the coloni- colonization,
Mm-hmm.
and how deep rooted it is in the monarchy, um, we know it's not right. We know that there's many countries around the world who are still presently affected by it. And the people of those countries, I'll give an example because a lot of Irish people are out here. They're glad that she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yep.
Asian people out here who are glad that she's passed. And these are countries that were obviously, a part of the Commonwealth and didn't see the best side of colonization. They just didn't. They didn't see that. They were, the brunt. They were the ones that took the brunt of racism, prejudice, discrimination, slavery, all of the above. And I don't want us to mix the two up. The queen is the queen as a person who passed and died. And then there's the system that she worked for. Because that's what she did. She worked for them. She had a good life, obviously, but she worked for them. And she
Mm-hmm.
gave her whole life to it. So I'm not going to knock that because I don't know anybody who has given their entire life to anything. Anything. So now with the whole system, is it right? No. I don't agree with it at all. I pray that one day it will all just go away, but it won't. And that's not realistic. So we are in the system and we have to maneuver around it. You know, um, Unfortunately, in this world that we have here, it's spread near and wide. Colonization has spread globally. So whether the queen is alive or not, it's still out there. So we still have to face it. Um, and we'll go deeper into other things after. But what I do want to say is how the hell in 1 minute this woman died? Like 1 minute she's sick as shit, and then the next minute they're calling up the boys. The next minute we get big news how she's passed. Well, I think the reason why they did that, and we had a conversation briefly about this, Jeanette, was that they made it so that there wasn't a lapse in time where the country is vulnerable, and not having its leader and the leader passing away, you can't have too much time in between. That's why they moved quick and in a hurry to crown King Charles. Even though he's 70 odd years old, he's just as old, almost as old as his mama. Okay, they crown him quick, fast, and in a hurry because the actual country cannot be left without a head, and so I think that's why they moved that way. But I'll be quite honest, I think they knew that she was passing. I
Mm-hmm.
think they knew well before Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think they knew that they had to move quickly, and so behind the scenes they were making sure things were on the up and up so that we could get the news, we could all grieve her loss, and then move on real quick with King Charles, which at times King Charles is out to lunch. So I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that his boys can talk some sense into him. I don't know, but he's out to lunch. Okay, he's one of the biggest puppets I've ever seen. But whatever, that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about us losing Queen Elizabeth? How do you feel
Yeah,
about
like
that?
what I said, like it's conflicted. Like as children of people who come from countries that were colonized, we
Mm-hmm.
ourselves were born in our Canadians, a country that was also colonized an Aboriginal community and
Yep.
destroyed their community. Um Again, it's hard to be very outwardly mourning. See, they talk about this period of mourning, right? But their family is mourning. I get it. They're human beings. But me myself, I'm not, she had a long life.
She sure did. And a
She
long,
did
nice,
her
comfy life too.
she did
Mm-hmm.
her job as was expected and expected of her. She, like you said, she didn't have a choice. Um I like there are people on social media glorifying tap dancing on her grave, and I get it, but again, it's an institution. It's the institution. Her herself as Elizabeth II, mm, not much to say there. But the institution that she comes from, I understand the vitriol and the anger that is coming her way. Um, what was so interesting is that she never wanted Charles to be king.
Nope.
Charles to be king because
Because she
she
knew it's too, too soon, too
typically a royal, when they reach a certain age, they might already before their death even make that transition, right? Usually, even
Yeah.
maybe when you get married or something like. But we all knew she would never
Nope.
give Charles the throne while she was alive because obviously of the shame of so many things, right? So many things. The whole thing that he divorced. Not only did he divorce, but before he divorced, the woman that he was with, he was having a very public affair with, and the queen never really approved of this woman. So
Nope.
over her dead body, so her body she dead, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's king.
Yep.
And something else I think that's happening, and again, it's weird. Like, I understand the anger that people have. So there's this I'm pretty sure she's Nigerian ancestry, and she's a professor at a university in the UK, I believe. And she made a tweet that I will read, because just gonna pull it up. We were, I wasn't gonna think, but I think um it's interesting, and I think this will capture the conflict I think we have in how we look at the queen. So the conflict is that a woman, a very important figure, and I think she did her role very dignified, as somebody who is a monarch could. And
Right.
so, that's why sometimes you'll see some people, they really like the queen. People, why do you like the queen? She's a colonizer. But I think in her role, she did a respectable job. And all the listeners, if you watch The Crown, you know what I'm talking about. You know
Yep.
what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so the tweet comes from, it's Uju Anya. So she's a professor. And so she said that, I heard the chief monarch of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire is finally dying. May her pain be excruciating. And Jeff Bezos, pretty much
It's still a
called
human being
attention
we're
to
talking
this.
about here,
The
right?
the
Like we're
re,
still
the
talking about
reason
a human.
why this tweet is getting viral is because Jeff Bezos, third richest man in the world, if not the richest actually, called
Hmm.
it out. So he retweeted it, and he said, and he pretty much was like, what did he say? Okay, yeah, he called her out, and he said, this is someone supposedly working to make the world better. I don't think so. Wow. And so obviously the woman came under fire because Jeff Bezos retweeted her tweet.
Sorry, Jeanette.
And so it caused, yeah. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry about that.
You back? Okay.
Hmm.
So yeah, and so that got a whole, like, what this woman tweeted is not different from what a lot of people are saying, but
It's true.
um it's just because Bezos brought all this attention, and even her employee, which is Carnegie Mellon University, kind of had to
Hmm.
step away from her. I'm like, oh damn, because um obviously this Jeff Bezos retweeting her tweet is got it viral. And
Yep.
so she came back saying, if anyone expects me to express anything but disdain for the monarch who supervised a government that sponsored the genocide that massacred and displaced half my family, and the consequences of which those alive today are still trying to overcome, you can keep wishing upon a star. And I think again that's just to document the two sides of things. There are the people who are directly affected by the influence of the British influence on their colonies, and there's people who are sympathetic to a figurehead, literally a figurehead of that
Exactly.
monarchy.
Well, she's a human being. Like, have we forgot humanity? Like, she's still a human being, right? So if Jeff Bezos died tomorrow, would he not want people to have empathy for him dying and for his family? Like, I feel like
Well,
sometimes
remember, he
we
didn't
forget to
make the
put
tweet. He
ourselves in
didn't
other
make he
people's shoes.
no he no 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 you're getting it wrong. Let me reiterate. He didn't make the tweet. He retweeted this Nigerian
Oh, sorry.
English
Right.
professor. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. So just to clear, so he was more on the side of what you're taking is like, it's still it's a little bit aggressive, right?
Right.
But I guess where I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm somewhere in what I brought that up to say is that those are the two spectrums of conversations since she has died.
Right.
I'm in the middle where I acknowledge she's the figurehead of a evil institution,
System.
but I also
Yeah.
acknowledge that she is literally just a symbol. She's a human being that is a part of, who's just a face to the system. She is not the system
No, she's not.
herself.
She's just the
So
face
the
of.
vitriol is a bit much for me. So that's all that to say, is that's where I'm coming from.
Right. And you know what? I do agree. Well, first of all, I mean, we all knew that the queen was going to die eventually.
Yeah.
First, I hate saying this because no life is more valuable than the other, but
Yeah,
I think it
exactly.
would hit me a little differently if this were a 25-year-old. You know,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she
she's
died. She had a full
96. She's
life.
lived a
She's good.
long, full, very lavish life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she need not want for nothing. So, as a person, I can separate, and sometimes it's hard for me to do. Like someone like R. Kelly, it's hard for me to separate his music from him. But in this
Mm-hmm.
realm, I feel like when I saw more of the biography of Queen Elizabeth, I understood that if she wanted to be different, she didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
If she wanted to break away from the system that she has become the face of, I don't think she had a choice in the matter. I really don't. Now, is the monarchy and that family full of secrets? Sure is. Would I love to be a fly on the wall? Sure would. But she's still a human being. She's still a human being. And maybe my indoctrination from my mom was that respect the dead, and I was always taught that when someone passes away, I don't care if they're your enemy, they're dead. Respect that, and so, you know, Queen Elizabeth, you had a good run, girl. You had a good run. You were able to affect the world internationally for a very long time. And that was another aspect that me and Jeanette were discussing, is what she did while she was here. I understand that she stepped into a family that already started to colonize the whole world. I get that. But somebody had to maintain it. Somebody had to keep the monarchy going, and she did. The English pound has never dropped. Okay, that speaks volumes about their economy and the fact that she has different avenues of respect worldwide, such as here in Canada. We still have her on our money. That's how much we respect the woman. So, in her lifetime, on a larger scale, we could get very, pick out cherry pick certain topics, and that'd be great. But I want to look at her life on a whole, and she stepped into a system that was already there before
Mm-hmm.
she was even born. It was already there.
Literally
So
even thousands of years before she was born.
way before this woman was even a thought, you understand? It already existed. So we can't put that on the shoulders of this one woman. You know what I mean? We just can't. Um, but what I will say is that, RIP to you, rest in peace. You were loved. Unfortunately, you were hated. However, you did the damn thing for 96 years. Tell me one person you know that has done something consecutively for 96 years. Or even what, 60 of those years.
Yeah, call it 60.
No, well,
Let's see.
I think she was crowned when she was in her early 20s.
Yes.
So, majority of her life, if it wasn't being groomed to take the position, then she was in the position, you know, um, and that woman, she's strong because she never backed down with a lot of things that she held true to and she
Mm-hmm.
believed in. She didn't back down. She wasn't wishy-washy. She was very firm with what she thought and how she felt about certain things, and she wasn't willing to compromise. In every family, is there, some secrets? Oh yes, the queen has some
Mm-hmm.
secrets. Don't get it twisted. We know the whole family and what, all the conspiracies. King Charles will never be respected
Nope. Nope. Nope.
because
Nope.
people love Princess Diana too much. Princess Diana died, what's almost 30 years ago?
About that.
And
Yep.
yeah, almost 30 years ago. And people talk about her like it was yesterday she was here. So, she was the people's princess. And
Mm-hmm.
when Charles did what he did, it didn't even sit right with his own mama. You understand?
And the fact that he still ended up and married her,
And
that
brought her
woman.
ass up into the palace. Listen.
Whew. No.
Okay. I don't know. Harry, that's why I feel like I gravitate to Harry because
Mm-hmm.
he's so much like his mom. He's so much like his mom.
Mm.
And I feel her spirit in him.
Mm-hmm.
With the other one, William, nah man, that's a dub because he's already lost in that system. I
Yeah.
think Harry knew.
The system got him for
Yeah, they
sure.
got him. They got him, and they held on tight, and he's followed suit.
And it's so
Harry, I think he kind of knew, like, there's no real chance of me ever being king. You know,
yeah.
so I'm gonna have my fun. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna bring the first black woman up in here with dreadlocks. I'm gonna bring her up in here. I'm gonna have babies and also I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want to do. And that was very much like Princess Diana. She, regardless of the monarchy, she still went against all of the rules. So, with Princess Diana dying, my question to you is, how do you really think it will affect Canada?
With Queen Elizabeth dying.
Yes. Am I saying Victoria?
No, you this time you said princess. You said princess. It's
Oh,
okay. It's late. It's
Queen?
late. We were.
Listen, it's late at night while we're recording, okay, people? I
It's
had a long
late.
damn day. Nobody come from my neck. I'm talking about Queen Elizabeth.
Yes, we. Will it affect Canada? I don't think it will affect Canada. To be honest, I do only. I really don't. I think
Not even with
Canada.
military?
Nope. I think it will have actually no effect on Canada at all because Canada is one of the few countries that I think don't mind the symbolic relationship. They don't really have that much influence. Like there's a relationship there, and obviously we're allies, but like the relationship we have with them is more symbolic. I don't think there's going to be any effect on our economy,
No,
on our
not our.
politics, or even like there's some rumblings about like say a country like Australia, they're going to try and sever their ties with the Commonwealth.
Well, now's the
I don't
time.
think Canada would do it. Like I know there's some other countries who might make that play with again they're vulnerable and nobody respects King Charles. So those things might happen, but I don't think Canada falls in that bucket, to be honest.
Well, I've always seen that Canada relies heavily on the military of Britain. We don't have a strong military system here. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only way I could see it ever affecting us, and I say affecting because, yeah, we still have King Charles, but like I said, King Charles is out to lunch. He's not here in the building. Okay. So, Queen Elizabeth, we could run to her and say, "Hey, we need some military over here, quick, fast, and in a hurry," and she would set speed. But I don't know. I think that's the only way that we kind of would be affected because we would definitely call on them if ever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's a thought that Canada, now that this has happened, maybe we need to realize that we need to step up our military, our defense team here in Canada, because I think we were relying too heavily on Britain. I think we were, and so that might be something that we could possibly later down the road. But again, I hope that both William and Harry talk some sense, whisper something to their dad, maybe cut a few of those cords from behind his back because he's a puppet. He's always been a puppet, and I think when he had that affair, he realized that people aren't going to take to heart what I'm saying anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, but all is said with that. We are going to wrap up the show with good thoughts. And that thought would be that, Queen Elizabeth, you are at rest, you are at peace, and Godspeed. In terms of the rest of the world, just leave. The woman has died. Let her just be dead right now. Stop stomping on her grave. Respect the dead. Like, come on. Wouldn't you want that for yourself? I'm sure you have people out here that don't like you. Would you want them stomping on your grave when you pass? I don't think so. So have a little humanity out here, people. But with all of that said, we hope that your hearts and your minds were activated on this week's show. So whether you do lead with your heart or your mind, please stay thoughtful and passionate. Deuces!
Bye.